Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to do what we tend to do. Because Lost Origin is now out, and it has now been out for a couple of days, and every time we have the pre-release, I come and show you that you shouldn't be buying single cards at the pre-release. And I know that some people have said I don't need to do that video every time a new set releases, and maybe you're right, but people still go and buy singles when the set releases, and those videos still do very good numbers, so people still want to watch the videos, and people are still buying the cards, so we're probably going to end up keep doing them. But the point is, after I do that video, it's then very important for me to come and do the follow-up video. And the follow-up video is basically where I come and prove to you that buying singles was a silly idea and the prices are already crashing pretty much instantly. But I also show you any exceptions. And with Lost Origin, now it's still early, and I'm going to come back to this in a couple of weeks to see where we stand. But as it stands at the moment, and I cannot stress this enough, we are still early, there might be an exception with Lost Origin. There might be a card which is not going to crash in value. But let's start off with Pikachu, because I told you Pikachu was going to crash in value, and oh my word, ladies and gentlemen, Pikachu is crashing in value. Let's start off with a gold Pikachu Vmax. Now, I pulled two of these. I have one for trade. I probably should have sold it by now. I haven't. I've kind of missed the boat. Although, to be fair, it does seem a little bit weird if I tell you it's going to crash in price and then try and sell it for a higher price. Although, to be fair, nobody should have bought it because, I made a video telling you not to, but it's all a moot point because I never got around to actually trying to sell or trade it. But I told you that this gold Pikachu was not going to settle at a high price. And the reason was super simple. Because, well, it was a gold card. And although the pull rates for those gold cards in Japan might have been extremely low, over here they are not. And essentially, what we've seen over and over and over again is that this is now the third set of those gold cards, and I showed you categorically that those cards tend to settle at $2. I showed you the two Calyrex cards settling at $2 on TCG Player. I showed you the two Urshifu cards settling at $2 on TCG Player. I then showed you that Pikachu Vmax was selling for $50. And I told you that that was ridiculous. And I told you that was way too high. And it was never going to work. And oh look, it didn't work. If we go back onto eBay now, and we go and have a look at some sold listings to see how much people are actually paying for this Pikachu, yeah, it's a sub $20 card. We got 3 listings here in a row. One sold for $20, one was $19 best offer accepted, one was $13. Now bear in mind, I did this video on the 21st of August, telling you not to buy Pikachu Vmax. I am now sitting here on the 12th of September. It has been like 3 weeks. 3 weeks and 1 day. It has been 3 weeks and 1 day since I told you that the price of Pikachu is going to crash. And now I'm back showing you that it has in fact crashed. And it has crashed pretty hard. We can go and look on TCG Player. One of the things I love doing on TCG Player is looking at the graph. And you will notice that although Pikachu started off as a roughly $50 card, it is now a $13.50 card according to TCG Player and their graph. And if we look at the sales history, we can see that actually, like yesterday or today even, that the 12th of September, and if we only look at the 12th of September, let's not look at any other days, we can see that we are absolutely littered with sales that have sold for like $13. It's like a $13 card. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, the prices on eBay as it stands at the moment are actually, weirdly enough, a little bit high, if you can believe that. So, yeah, that Pikachu was never going to last. And ladies and gentlemen, that Pikachu has not lasted. How about Mew? How about Mew Vmax? I showed you the other day that this was selling at around about a $40-ish card. And I told you that this one was pretty much, again, guaranteed to crash. Because the gold cards have very low pull rates in Japan, but much higher pull rates over here. And that all of these gold cards end up being super crazy cheap. And what do we see? Well, over on eBay, the last 3 solds are $17, $15, and $15. It has basically settled out as a $15 card. That's what people are paying right now. People are picking this up on eBay all day long as a $15 card. If we head on over to TCG Player, it is as expensive, a little bit cheaper than Pikachu. It's gone from a roughly $50 card, again, in the space of 3 weeks. It has gone from about a $50 card to an $11 card. And I'm not going to go showing you all the sold listings. I did that with Pikachu, but they're all about $11, which is why the market price is showing as $11. So what we've got here is basically a whole bunch of cards which are selling for about $11, even though 3 weeks ago they were $50. And while we're talking Pikachu Vmax, let's stick with Pikachu Vmax, because pretty much the exact same thing is happening with the other Pikachu Vmax. Now, this was the Trainer Gallery one. Now, this is a very impressive looking card, don't get me wrong. It is a beautiful card, and the pull rates for these seem to be just a little bit lower than the gold cards. They're a little bit harder to get hold of. Now, unfortunately, I didn't show you a listing for this the other day. The good news is eBay will still go back to the 28th of August. What was happening on the 28th of August? One sold for $145, one sold for best offer accepted of a $150 listing, and one had a best offer accepted on a $200 listing. So it was trending at like $150 over on eBay. That's a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen. That is an awful lot of money. What is it selling for now? What if we then skip to today's sold listings, or the recent ones? Like a $45 to $60 card. The last 3 solds we've got here are like $45, $63, and $60. That's what we've got. So people are picking it up for very literally 1/3 of what they were paying. And again, we're not talking about months here. We're talking about 3 weeks. In the space of 3 weeks, the price of that card has dropped to 1/3 of what it was. We can do a very similar thing over on TCG Player. Now, this was never actually quite that high on TCG Player. It debuted at about a $90 card and has dropped to about a $45 card. So we're basically talking a drop of half in the space of 3 weeks. It's gone from a $90 card to a $45 card. It's always nice to show TCG Player and eBay, because occasionally you do get little differences between them. One more example before we go to maybe the exception. I showed you that Radiant Gardevoir was like a $12 to $20 card, and I liked using this as an example, because this was like a cheaper card. A significantly cheaper card, and I still told you that $12 was ridiculous. And if we look at the last 3 sold listings, we've got $4, $3, and $11 for the set of 3 Radiant Pokemon, that is, including your Radiant Sneasler and your Radiant Steelix. So, okay, fine, $12 might have been pretty cheap to begin with, but it's now a $3 or $4 card. And that's kind of my point, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, fine, $12 might not have been very much, but I showed you this the other day. I showed you that these Radiant Pokemon never have much value. They always end up, with one obvious exception, they always end up dirt cheap. What's the market price over on TCG Player right now? $1. $1. And the sold listings are all about $1. This is a $1 card. So, okay, fine, $12 the other day. It's only $12. It's a $1 card. You paid $12 for a $1 card. Hopefully not you guys actually watching, but other people did. When I say prices are crashing, I don't mean, they're coming down a little bit. I mean, Pikachu's gone from a $50 card to a $12 card. Pikachu Vmax has gone from like a $150 card to a $45 card. Radiant Gardevoir has gone from a $12 card to a $1 card. But I told you that sometimes there are exceptions. And I warned you in the video the other day that there was a chance that Giratina could be an exception. Now, I also told you, because, let's be perfectly transparent about this. Let's actually be clear about what I said. I told you that I did not think it was going to end up as like a $200 card, given the prices of things like the alternate art Palkia. I allow that there could be exceptions, but I told you I didn't think this was going to be that high. I'm not saying that it's not going to drop, but I absolutely am saying it's not dropping yet. So, Giratina the other day, I showed you sold listings for $250 to $350. Now, admittedly, it has actually sold. It's gone down a little bit. But when I say it's gone down a little bit, I mean it's gone down a little bit. The last three sold listings were talking $225, $215, and $255. So rather than being a $250 to $350 card, it's kind of a $225 card. So it has come down in value. That alternate art Giratina has fallen. It's just not fallen very much. Again, if we go to the graph over on TCG Player, it's gone on TCG Player from 225 to 210. So you're still talking about a 10% drop, but we are only talking about a 10% drop. It has fallen, but I expected this over time to go more in line with a Palkia. Maybe around about a $50 to $100 card. But it is holding steady at about a $200 card. Now, one thing to note is we are still only kind of 3 days out from the release. And this is a very hyped card. And maybe I should have made more of a point of that in my previous video. This is hyped more than cards generally are. But so was Dialga V, the alternate art thereof. And that is still trending as a $50 card. So, I don't know is the honest answer. I would love to have the answer for you. Dialga dropped from 140 to now be about a $50 card. Palkia, we saw a similar kind of thing. That dropped from, initially trending as about a $100 card to about a $50 card. Giratina seems to be an exception, and we do see exceptions. Umbreon, very much an exception. Now, I feel like we need to look at Umbreon here, because if Giratina is an exception, then it's probably only right that I tell you what's going to happen. However, if Giratina is an exception, I am not telling you for an absolute fact that it is. I'm afraid that's something you're going to have to try and figure out yourselves. But if we look at Umbreon Vmax, that is currently over on TCG Player as a $420 card. But if we look at it since release, essentially what happened was it came out as about a $200 card. It dropped down, so about 2 months after it came out, it had dropped about as low as it was going to drop, and then it started climbing. So about 2 months after the release of Umbreon was about the best time to go and pick this up. I am not telling you that Giratina is going to reach its lowest value 2 months after release. I am not telling you it's going to go up to a $400 card. Although, to be fair, Umbreon was hanging around about a $200 card until it didn't really start going up until about 6 months after release. So Umbreon might be at a ridiculous level now, but that didn't start until about 6 months after it came out. So what I am telling you is Giratina looks like it might be an exception. It hasn't dropped sub $200 yet. It is probably still going to drop over the next couple of months. Not a guarantee. That is a prediction based on what we've seen in the past and nothing more. But Giratina is probably never going to be a crazy cheap card. And if it is an exception like Umbreon, it's going to go up to a $400 card and above. That's the best information I can give you. Every other card in Lost Origin, at least all the ones I've checked, and I've checked all the big ones, they're all dropping pretty impressively right now. Because actually, the set's out. Why would it not be dropping? The thing is, this isn't going to happen for everything. You know, gold Giratina's gone from $100 down to like $35. It's dropped by a third. Rainbow Rare Giratina has gone from like $45 to $30. It's dropped by a third. Giratina V-Star has gone from a $45 card to a $20 card. It's dropped by more than half. It's happening to everything, except the alternate art of Giratina. So that's what you need to know, ladies and gentlemen, but now it's over to you guys. Did you pick any of these up? Which ones are you waiting to pick up? And are you going to get that Giratina? How much are you willing to pay? Let me know in the comment section. Get us! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games and all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can join a Discord and chat some Pokemon, get weekly bonus pods where I answer all of your questions, and you can get shout-outs like, for instance, the lovely Dorothy Vodka, who did get in touch with me to tell me that she generally uses Dorothy because it's a difficult name to pronounce. A Danish name, Dorfa, I want to say, please don't hate me for it. But shout out to Dorothy for being a lovely person and for supporting and being a lovely person. And for taking the time to get in touch with me about the pronunciation of your name. I very much appreciate that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.